Hey folks, welcome to episode 3 of our Atwater Kent Model 67C. Just want to show you some progress here from a restoration perspective. So you've seen our battery cover, you've seen our case, and now we've got the tube cover all ready to go, and it's painted. And whenever we reassemble this thing, we've got all this matching. So we've got the nice gold over here as well. What I've been working on is really simple. I've been working on the power supply, and I've been working with Brendan on that. Obviously, it's a little advanced for me, but with Brendan's patience and vast knowledge of this stuff, I've been able to come up with a power supply, at least for the B plus side. And Brendan is currently working on the A plus side, and the C plus side is simple. So I'll show you the B plus power supply. It's relatively easy. Once it's explained to me, it was easy. So I'll walk through that, and then we'll just walk through what we're going to do with the rest of the radio. So let me get that all set up, and I shall return. Okay, so let's go through our circuit here. This is what you call a full wave doubler. Okay, so I'm hoping you can see this. That may be a little easier. Let's see. Probably a little less glare. So basically right here you have your 120 volts, 60 hertz coming in. Okay, 60 cycles. And what you do here is you come through a dropping resistor of 200 ohms, and you come right here to a capacitor. It's an electrolytic capacitor, 100 microfarads. And your plus side goes to the diodes. Okay, here you have two 1N4007s, one here and one here. Okay, and then you come to another 100 microfarad electrolytic cap. Plus is here, and this right here creates a full wave rectifier essentially. Okay, so then we're coming through a dropping resistor again of 1K, and then we have one more capacitor right here, which is another 100 microfarad cap. We ultimately take that to this resistor here, which is 250 ohms, and that gives us a voltage of 187 volts DC. Now if you look at the requirements of the radio, in the B plus circuit it requires 180, 135, 67.5, and 45. So what we've done here is we have a bunch of Zener diodes that we're putting in, so there's voltage drop, so we get those voltages. Okay, so the first one is a 1N4756A, and that has a breakdown of 47, so that brings us down to 139.6, a little bit higher, but we could sculpt that. Then we come down and we go through a 1N4760A, which brings it down to 69.7, again a little bit high, but that's fine. Then we go to a 1N4748A, which brings our voltage down to 46.9. Okay, so that's good. So we have all of our voltage now that we need. Now what you see here, this resistor right here, it's a 4K resistor. That's basically just a load resistor. So I put that in the drawing because that's what I'm doing for testing. But essentially that's just a load resistor. So all that's doing is allowing me to test these voltages. And then of course the end of this chain comes back up and attaches over here to the rest of the circuit. So this is a full wave doubler. It's really simple once you understand it. And I've actually put together a prototype that I can use when I'm testing the amp. This won't be the final version, but we'll just kind of walk through it. Here's what I built. It works. I've tested it. So just to compare, if you look at the diagram right here, here's our AC in right here. Here's our 200 ohm dropping resistor. Here's our first electrolytic. Here's our two diodes. Here's our second cap. Here's our 1K resistor. And then here's our last cap. And then we come over here and we go to this 250 ohm resistor, and then here's our diodes right here. Okay, and of course this all ties back underneath like so. So essentially I have all my voltages right here in these wires that I'm going to need, and I can use this as a test for the B plus when I'm ready to go. I'm going to end up building the entire power supply in a project box, that gets mounted inside the cabinet of the radio. This way it's safe. So again, this is just to test. So this works, and we're in good shape. All right, so that's the story with the power supply. Brendan is again looking at the A plus and the C plus to see what we're going to do there. Shouldn't be too much of a challenge, I think. I look at the A plus, which is used to light the filaments, almost like a wool wart. But we'll see. You know, I'm sure there's something about that design that I don't know about. So I will defer to Brendan on that one. But now we're really getting in a good spot where we can test this thing when we get everything electrically put together. All right. So I haven't really worked much on the chassis. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to take the rest of the chassis apart, and I'm going to start cleaning the the metal and getting that in a better place, and then I'll start reassembling. So we're making good progress. All right. So I'm going to end this right here for the power supply part. I'm going to start doing the chassis cleaning, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. I'm also going to put this diagram up on the screen so you can take a quick look at it. We'll do that now. Alright, I got everything stripped off here. Now we can begin the cleaning process, and I just want to show you what this looks like before I do it, so you can do a comparison before and after. So just take a moment to take a peek, and we'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Just a progress check. As you can see, it's looking better. This area is concerning. It looks like this hole right here that I'm pointing to, right there, may mean that this is going to be rusted through when I put navel jelly on it. We'll have to wait and see. This area here is pretty deep, and so is this area here. This is where the output transformer goes. So I'm going to have to put some navel jelly on this and clean it up. I know the navel jelly is probably going to take the coating or the plating off of this thing, but not much I could do. If I leave this alone, it's just going to rot through eventually. So we're going to go ahead and put some navel jelly on this and see what it does. I'll try to keep it off of the plating, obviously to protect that, but we'll see what happens here. So that's going to be the next step. A lot of cleaning to do on this thing. Well, so far I've been pretty lucky. I've got the navel jelly on here, and if I put it on some of the spots that just have that surface rust, it takes it right off. It's also cleaning up these orange nameplates, especially the logo here. It was just completely unreadable before. I'm putting it on there for just like maybe a minute at most and wiping it off, and it's actually cleaning those up pretty well. So the navel jelly is also working kind of as a quick surface cleaner, which is good. And you'll see this one here is pitted. I'm just going to put a little bit on there. This is navel jelly, and we'll wait about 10 seconds and wipe it off. And you'll see it really makes that that emblem pop out, which is good. So we're going to continue this. This stuff's going to have to stay wet and soak for a long time. It's deep. And also over here, and I've got these two spots here, which are fairly deep and pitted. And we're gonna let that work. And I will continue to go around the rest of the radio with the navel jelly and clean up any other pitting. I've got most of it. There was a lot right here, which I've gotten rid of already. And there was a fair amount up here in this area. So we're just gonna let the navel jelly do its work at this point, and make sure it stays wet. That's the key with this stuff. You can't let it dry out. So you just got to keep moving it around and adding a little bit more if you need to, but it's got to do its job. Of course, I did prep it with a wire brush first, but not much came off, quite honestly. All right, we'll give you progress when it's available. And just an update on where we are. I've taken off the first application of navel jelly. I've gotten most of the rust off. Like this is all done. This is all gone here. I've still got this large patch in here, and this one. In theory, none of this is visible because it's underneath the battery case. But I still want to get rid of it and control it. So I'm going to let the navel jelly soak, continue to soak in these spots, and get it down as far as I can get it. And then I'm going to see if I can, either use some Rust-Oleum or something like that underneath here just to protect it. but I'll let it go for another couple of hours and see where it goes. But the rest of the chassis is largely derusted, with the exception of these tube sockets. So I got to put a little bit in there and clean that up. But in general, things are looking pretty good. All right, we'll show you what that looks like later. Okay, I've taken off the second round of navel jelly, and as I expected, you'll see right here, maybe you can see that, the plating is starting to come off here, as I suspected that it would. I think I've gotten this just about as low as it's going to get without really causing more damage. None of this is exposed, right, when the battery thing is there, so you're really not going to see anything except right here. And I think the battery tray comes right around here. So, you know, from an aesthetic perspective, it's really just this area. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some rust arrestor, and I'm going to go to Home Depot and take a look. I think they sell some stuff here. I think I heard John from Arkansas mention it, that kind of converts the rust, you know, to something that's not going to get any worse. So I think I'm going to apply that on this section. And then I have the same problem underneath, and it's even worse. Look down here. So so whatever solution I choose, I'm going to have to do something that is going to be more of a chemical reaction than anything. There's no way I'm going to get any navel jelly down here and improve this. It just ain't going to happen. So this is probably very brittle. If I start chipping away at this with navel jelly, it's probably going to just break the chassis. So I'm going to go look for that stuff, and we'll give that a shot. So that's the next plan. Let's see what happens. All right, well, we're back from Home Depot, and we struck out, of course. I was looking for Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer. That's what it's called. And of course, you get to Home Depot, and they say, "Oh, you buy that online." Like, really? So you know what I did? I bought it online in the parking lot from Amazon. They're so stupid, these stores. Anyway, so I'm going to have to wait for the Rust Reformer to get here, and we're going to put that on here, and that should do the trick. I've also cleaned up these coil cans, so they're all ready to go. And I've got a few more cosmetic things to do. For example, when I took off the front of the radio, it has these little side plates here that I'm going to have to strip and repaint. There are some rust on these things, so I'm going to pop these things in the Evapo-Rust. I think that'll do the trick there. So we're still doing a little bit of tweaking. I think what I'm going to start doing under here, and this will be in the next video, is starting to replace some of these capacitors. And the capacitors on this thing are in the sardine cans here. I think they're mostly point ones. I have to see if I can figure out what they are, but we're going to drop these cans. It shouldn't be so hard, and we're going to restuff them. So we're going to put the cans back in the way they are. We'll clean them up a little bit. So we'll start that, and then you know, we'll begin the process of rewiring all of our coils back together. And you'll see I've got everything marked, so we're good. Not going to be confused on anything. And the reason why I'm being really careful about marking things here is the schematic for this radio is horrible. Matter of fact, Brendan was looking at the schematic to help with the A+ power supply, and noticed right away that there's symbols missing on the schematic, like connecting dots. So that's not a good thing. So I'll start getting these cans restuffed, and we'll get that underway. And in the next video, we'll cover the rust reformer and how we're gonna handle that. It just looks horrible, doesn't it? Terrible. And then we'll go from there. All right. So not so much work to do under here. It should be relatively simple. It's just a question of taking your time and doing it right. So that's what we're gonna do. All right. So I think we'll wrap up this video. Not a lot of learning here and exciting things, but at least you get to see the process. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you later.